One Piece chapter 1015 change really borders on the cusp of despair and hope. And that cover page, man, that cover page. A request for Senior Pink to be being sent out by a stork is very wild. But with Chopper still facing off against Queen and starting to lose hope after the announcement that Luffy had lost to Kaido and all that, like Chopper, of course, he's always kind of been the baby of the group. He tends to give into hopelessness fairly fast in a lot of places. With a lot of the samurai and the Kaido forces who joined their side being demeaned by a lot of the headliners who seem to have, reverted back to being evil. Because, well, the gifters who have reverted back to being evil, more or less. I guess the Kibidango have a limited usage, or if Tama kind of gives into unfortunate feelings, sometimes they don't always work, because apparently the Kibidangos that they got from Speed might have rejuvenated them, or they might not have even taken effect, or something like that. But Izo, Kawamatsu, and Sanji are just like, yeah, it can't just be like that. No, there's gotta be something more to it than that. Everyone's losing morale, like, left and right and center. And between Queen coming in, trying to just completely take down Chopper, he's just bad-mouthing Chopper left and right, and Sparrow's candy arrows, which are just taking out the general forces all over the place. He lets rip yet another barrage of the candy arrows, but just as Queen goes in for Chopper, in comes Sanji with his Diable Jambe, and he uses a special technique, Rotisserie Strike, in order to literally spin Queen round like a record baby, blocking all of Sparrow's candy arrows, sending him swinging into Sparrow, knocking Sparrow back, and sending Queen flying off into one of the nearby corners. It is the most masterful displays of kicking prowess we've seen from Sanji in quite a while. And, he does compliment that Chopper, he was really good to hold out on his own against two fairly strong opponents this long. But as Chopper continues to ball it up over the loss of Luffy, Sanji tells Chopper, look, you've seen how many times Luffy has made it through hopeless situations before. Don't give in to despair just yet. So, as Sanji hands over the cross-shaped Zoro to Chopper in order to get him healed, Sanji says he'll take on Queen himself, with Queen commenting, oh, you're Judge's son. So hopefully we're about to get some backstory and find out probably that more than likely Judge, very much kind of like with Caesar Clown and Vegapunk, and they were all part of this whole group of researchers back in the day, because there's this obvious connection going on with all of them, with Caesar Clown being a almost apprentice researcher with Vegapunk. Apparently Judge worked alongside Vegapunk, and given the technology of the Germa, it makes a lot of sense. And the technology that we've seen come from Queen, it's just like, yeah, okay, him knowing Judge makes a whole lot of sense. I also love that a lot of the samurai comment on the fact it's just like, what, his captain's dead, how can he still fight on? And Marco's just like, yeah, that's why I like you guys. Even despite your potential loss, you still fight forward. With Marco kind of knowing personally firsthand how it can be losing your captain and kind of giving up the will to fight. Meanwhile, over with Kaido slaughtering people left and right, we have Kiku, who seems like she's completely down for the count, Kanjuro, who seems like he's completely down for the count, but one person who is bloody but not down and out is Kinemon. Despite the fact that he had his head bashed to pieces, he's still trying his best to stab at Kaido with his broken blade, with Kinemon thinking back to the day he asked Momonosuke to call him father. That way they could hide Momonosuke's bloodline from anyone who might come after them, and how hard it was for them to get to that point until we saw them on punk hazard, where they naturally call each other son and father and all that. However, as Kinemon continues to try to fight back in quotation marks there, Kaido is just like, what is this? Why are you even still trying? What do you think them escaping will actually change something? That the few seconds you buy them will matter? It won't. Just face your death like a warrior. That's the problem with defeat. So few people can accept it. Like, Kaido's just trying to lecture him as he just brings out this dagger or a sword. It's hard to tell which in Kaido's hands, and Kaido just stabs through Kinemon right then and there. And it's hard to tell. It's still just so hard to tell if Kinemon is actually dead, if Kanjuro's dead, if Kiku is dead, because Oda's writing in the past has been very all over the place in terms of character deaths. But when it came to Pedro, he died. But then Pound had a situation where he should have died, but he didn't. But we never actually saw him be beheaded, so it's hard to say. So once this arc is over and done with, and I know for sure they are dead, then I will mourn for the loss of Kinemon. And that flashback honestly kind of made it feel like he might have actually just legit died, but at the same time, we've seen a lot of people survive a lot of things that they probably shouldn't have, so it's really hard to tell. Meanwhile, we see that Momonosuke had actually picked up one of the Marys, the frog Mary that had found them as they're running away with Shinobu. So, he actually decides to give out a broadcast. And last chapter, I was wondering, because it was obvious that Momonosuke was hearing the voice of something very loudly in his head, and he didn't know who it was at first. So I'm just like, who could it be? Is it Zunisha? Is it something else? Who could he be hearing? And we come to find out that it was none other than Luffy. Despite the fact that Luffy is falling into the bottom of the ocean, that he's sinking into its depth, he was able to still send out this message through the voice of all things to tell Momo hey, tell the people I'm going to beat Kaido. And Momonosuke uses the fact that the Marys are still in, I think it was diffusion mode or something like that, basically speaker mode, if nothing else. And that Luffy is still alive, and he says that he will return to the battle. So keep fighting no matter what, even if you're up to your last breath, just keep fighting. And I love it. I love that kind of shit, because it's just like, yes, rally the forces, show them the morale. Yeah, Momonosuke is fighting through the tears to tell everyone this, but he's just bringing up like, look, keep fighting, keep going, keep doing what you can do. And we see Hyogoro, we see Yamato, we see Raizo fighting against Fukurokuju, we see a little bit of Jinbei and a surprise who's who, and everyone just kind of rallies. It's just like, yes, Luffy's not dead, he's not completely out. Frankie's smiling, Chopper's back to being happy, we got Brook and Robin, King is of course kind of pissed off, but even Eustace Kid, the curmudgeon that he is, gives a little bit of a smile. Meanwhile, we have Kaido slowly closing in on Shinobu and Momonosuke. However, before he can get to them and just take him out, Shinobu uses her ripe fruit ability in order to crumble the cliff that they're on, in order to send them plummeting downward. So hopefully it gets them somewhat out of harm's way, and if nothing else, they're both devil fruit users, so they're kind of screwed if they fall into the water, but hopefully they'll fall on top of the polar tang or something, because that's who's managed to find Luffy. The Polar Tang, Law's forces. Just like I was thinking before, because they were the only ones who were left behind who could possibly save Luffy. It was a great setup by Oda. I applaud the fact that he set that up from the jump, that Law's forces were still out there, that they weren't involved in the battle, they were a quick, speedy backup if something should happen. And it's just like Law just thinking ahead even when he doesn't know what happened. So somehow now one or all of them are able to hear Luffy to some degree. I guess, again, through the voice of all things. I don't know if they possess some form of hockey or something like that, and that's why they're able to hear it, or if it's Luffy just sending out a general broadcast through his hockey or something like that. Like, I would never even guess that hockey would allow you to communicate that way with another living creature. But well, living creature. We know that between Momonosuke and Zunisha, you're able to do that. But from person to person, that's new. That's new on me. But hey, it's been set up that it's capable because of Zunisha, because of the Sea Kings and all that. Like, we've seen the slow progression to this point, so it's not so much completely out of left field. Something else that we're actually able to see is that while Tama is so happy that Big Bro Luffy is alive, Nami hears a voice who's just like, oh, Luffy's alive, I'm glad to hear that. And she looks down at her Climattack and sees that Zeus is apparently infused into her Climattack. He was able to escape at the last minute. Also, Big Mom facing off against Kid, who's just like, oh, Luffy's alive, it must be a bluff. He fell into the sea, he's gotta be dead. And Law enters the fray, and it's just like, well, you work with him long enough, you know that he always manages to find a way. And whereas Kid is telling Law to back off, it's just like, don't mess up my fight, Law's just like, nah, I think it's time we enter into an alliance to take this bitch down. So, oof, team up. I want to see a team up between these two. I've waited so long. Yes, do it, do it, do it, do it, do it. And to cap off this gargantuan chapter, because so much happened in comes the prodigal son Yamato, calling out Kaido, like speaking out the side of his face, Kaido, you bitch! And Kaido looks up and is just like, I think you mean father, Yamato. Kaido's just like, I don't mean shit like that. You's the son of a bitch, and I've come here to cut all ties with you. I've come to cut those chains. I'm like, yes, Yamato, challenge your father to mortal combat. I really do hope that Yamato has a mythical tiger zone, because it would be that clash. Like the legend of the, four directions, the bird, the tortoise, the dragon, and the white tiger is just like, yes, Yamato has to be the white tiger. It would be the perfect synergy. I know Oda works like this. It would be the perfect time to see what Yamato's made from. And we are not on break next week, so we're going to get that chapter quick, fast, and in a hurry. I cannot wait. I am so hyped. So I think Yamato has to have some kind of transformation, because we saw the precursor to that. I think Yamato is going to go at it with Kaido for a good hot minute until Luffy's able to come back and recover, and then they'll tag team Kaido. Just how Eustace and Law are tag teaming Big Mom. That's the thing. We're getting a lot of tag teams here. Ultimately, I think Usopp and Nami are going to run into somebody else somewhere down the line. Because or that they're going to end up saving Momonosuke and Shinobu. Someone has to save them from falling down, all the way down, and that good stuff. But we also have the question of whether or not Kinemon is actually dead. With everything that's happened, I wouldn't be surprised if he was dead. But at the same time, Oda's writing sometimes doesn't really inspire the most faith when it comes to this kind of stuff. But I'm wondering if Chopper will team up a little bit with Sanji, or if it'll be exclusive 1v1 Sanji versus Queen SmackDown Battle Royale. I can't wait to see how this goes. And what about Pero Sparrow? Is he going to get back up? Is Carrot going to recover and take him back on? Because I can't see Carrot completely out of the fight, but I also know that Nekomamushi is coming for Pero Sparrow's ass. So that's got to come due at some point. We got to see something come from that. So I'm just waiting to see what happens there. But at least Zoro's going to get a little bit more better TLC from Chopper than from Sanji, with the constant, basically Sanji just using Zoro as a weapon left, right, and center throughout this whole entire story arc. It's been so wild. But hey, tell me your thoughts. feelings, and theories in the comment section below. If you like this video, like, comment, subscribe, bell, all that good to YouTube stuff. But if you don't want to, don't. I ain't your daddy, but I still love you like one. And until next time, I've been Duuz-Diz-Din, and I will see you later. Bye-bye.